What is up, guys? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my main event breakdown for UFC Vegas 92. We have Lerone Murphy going against Edson Barboza. Going to be breaking down this fight, talking some betting as well, some spots kind of sticking out for this main event. And it's a very interesting main event as well. Lerone Murphy's a guy that is, getting a main event here. His first main event ever. He's a guy that has not lost yet in the UFC, has had a couple hiccups. His debut ended up being a draw, and then also a very, very, very close fight with Gabriel Santos, in which a lot of people thought he lost. But other than that, he's been rolling, he's been looking good, and he's getting a big shot here against Edson Barboza, who is now 38 years old at featherweight, and this is going to be Barboza's fifth main event in the UFC. So yeah, lots to talk about. Before we get into it, if you guys could, like the video, subscribe, and be on the lookout for the full card breakdown and prediction video for UFC Vegas 92. It'll be out shortly here. We have 12 fights that we're going to be talking about for this card. It's a decent card overall, I'd say, and yeah, it's a decent main event. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to start with Lerone Murphy, who's going to be the younger guy here. He's 32 years old, 5'9", with a 73.5-inch reach. He's 13-0-1. And 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Edson Barboza, 38 years old, 5'11", with a 75-inch reach, 24-11 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So, what jumps off the page to me right away is the fact that Edson Barboza is 38 years old at this point. He's cutting down to featherweight, which it has to be such a tough cut for the guy. Like, there's times where Edson Barboza is showing up on the scale and he's just looking horrible. I mean, this cut for Barboza has to be just insane, for him to be able to get down to this weight class. But he was able to in his last fight and was able to pull off the upset in his last fight against Sodiq Yusuff. But yeah, 38 years old, he's only getting older. I'm assuming this weight cut's only getting tougher. With that said, though, something weird is happening this year. I'm not sure if I'm the only, guy who's noticed this, but post-USADA era, we're seeing some weird things. We're seeing 39-year-old fighters, 41-year-old fighters going out there and not only, winning, not only looking good, but looking better than ever. So I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but, a lot of these older fighters are looking, very, very good. And then a lot of these fighters that are have gassed out in the past, some of the best gas tanks, they now all of a sudden have 3-round cardio. I don't know. It's weird to me, but just something I noticed this year. So the age of Edson Barboza, it's certainly a concern, but like I said, we've seen a lot of these older fighters this year have been going out there and having great performances. Most recent was Carlos Diego Ferreira, who is 39 and looked career best against Mateusz Rebecki. Of course, the OSP fight, where OSP looked better than he has since 2016 against Kennedy Nzechukwu. So yeah, 38 years old, it is what it is, but something to keep in mind. Murphy's going to be 6 years younger here, which is also something to keep in mind. So like I said, Murphy's had an interesting path here to a main event in the UFC. Made his debut against Sabara Tukhugov. That was UFC 242, Khabib versus Poirier. I remember that fight. I think that was the card where it was I think it was in Abu Dhabi, and the arena was just very hot. I think the air conditioning broke or something, and a lot of fighters were gassing out and stuff, and that's kind of what happened in that fight. Tukhugov went out there, he dropped Murphy in the first round, just dominated him in that first round, I believe. Murphy had some success, but it was Tukhugov landing that big shot, almost getting Murphy out of there. And then Murphy goes on to win the round 2 and round 3. And then after that, he knocks out Ricardo Ramos via ground and pound. Vicious shots landed in that fight. He beats Douglas Silva de Andrade across 3 rounds. He knocks out Makwan Amarikani after dropping the first in typical Makwan Amarik fashion. And then he thought he lost to Gabriel Santos. I scored the fight for Gabriel Santos in that fight, and Santos is a decent fighter, but that's just not the best look overall. And then he beats Josh Kulabau his last time out. As far as Edson Barboza, this was a guy who looked to be kind of slowing down in his career, I thought. Looked to be maybe on his way out at one point. He was 36, 37 years old, and then he went out there, got knocked out by Giga Chikadze in the 3rd round, lost to Bryce Mitchell across 15 minutes, and then he goes out there and knocks out Billy Q with a flying knee. And then what really impressed me was Edson Barboza's fight against Sodiq Yusuff, a fight where Yusuff had a 10-8 first round. I mean, I am not sure how Barboza was able to survive that first round. Yusuff was pretty much hurting Barboza with everything that was landing in that first. Had him almost out of there on multiple different occasions, but Barboza was able to survive. And then after that, it was pretty much, all Barboza. Barboza had that big knockdown in the third round as well, and that was very impressive to me because prior to that, we had never seen Barboza go the full 5 rounds. We've seen him be scheduled for 5 rounds, but he got knocked out in the first round by Gaethje. He got knocked out in the third round by Giga Chikadze, and then he got finished in, I think, the 5th round by Kevin Lee. So seeing Barboza go out there, weather that storm at 38 years old, and be able to win a decision across 25 minutes was very impressive to me. So Barboza, although he is 38, he's shown the ability to go 25 minutes like he did in his last fight. He's shown the ability to absolutely battle some adversity because he had battled a ton of adversity in that first round. So that was good to see. Lerone Murphy, this is going to be his toughest test by a mile. I mean, you take a look at Lerone Murphy's record and it's like, what's his best win? And I guess it's Douglas Silva de Andrade, which is that a good win? Yeah, it's okay, but it's not the best win in the world. Like if he goes out there and beats Edson Barboza, it's going to be his best win for a mile. So this is a jump up in competition for Murphy, certainly. And we haven't seen Murphy in the 4th round. We haven't seen Murphy in the 5th round. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough fight, man. I mean, we take a look at the odds. Lerone Murphy's the favorite. He opened up -115, currently -140. Edson Barboza opened up -105, currently +120. Yeah, for me, it's not like, last week's main event prediction was a lot more confident. Derek Lewis knocking out Nascimento. This one, I'm not so sure. I think I might lean towards the underdog in Barboza, and it's because of that last fight. That last fight just showed me a ton, with Barboza. It showed me that he still has it. He certainly still has it at 38 years old. So, yeah, I think Murphy can make it I think it's going to be competitive on the feet. I think both guys can land big shots here. I think Murphy might even try to mix in takedowns. We'll see if he has success or not. Not really convinced he does. So I primarily think this fight's going to take place standing, and I think it's going to be a very, very close back and forth fight. From a betting perspective, I think there's some interesting spots sticking out. The over-under is set at 4.5 rounds, and the under 4.5 rounds got smashed. It opened up at +120, and it's now -150. And then the over 4.5 is currently +120. The fight goes to decision +110. The fight doesn't go to decision is -140. A spot that I'm kind of looking at is the fight to end by knockout at +105, +110. Plus money there for that fight to end by knockout, and for a couple reasons. You take a look at both of these guys. When they're winning fights, it's either decision or it's by knockout. Edson Barboza has 13 wins by knockout, 9 wins by decision, and then he has 2 wins by submission. Those 2 submission wins came back in, I think, like 2010. So, Barboza's not really, he has 0 subs in the UFC. And then as far as Lerone Murphy, he has 0 submissions in and outside the UFC. So these guys are, when they're winning fights, like I said, either decision or knockout. Both guys have power. I think this fight primarily stays standing. So I think the fight ends by knockout. Could be interesting. He knocked out Makwan with a flying knee, knocked out Ricardo Ramos with that ground and pound. And like I said, other than that, it's decisions and knockouts outside the UFC as well. So yeah. Fight ends by knockouts at plus money, probably be the one spot that I don't mind. Just because this fight is 25 minutes, these guys are going to throw down. And you take a look at Barboza's other 5-round fights. Well, he gets knocked out in the first round by Gaethje. He gets knocked out in the 5th round by Kevin Lee. And then he gets knocked out in the 3rd round by Giga Chikadze. So he's been knocked out 3 times in those 3 main event losses. And then even in like the last fight against Yusuf, like Yusuf was this close to knocking him out in that 1st round. And then he was this close to knocking out Yusuf in that 3rd round. So yeah, that's probably the spot I look at here. It's a dog or pass situation for me, but betting on a 38-year-old featherweight, just I don't know. I don't feel amazing about it. But what I don't mind is that shot on some violence here. 25 minutes for either guy to land a big shot. Both guys obviously have power. Edson Barboza has shown some durability issues in the past. Lerone Murphy hasn't really. He got dropped by Tuhugov. Other than that, his durability's been looking pretty good, but Barboza does hit very hard. So I think a finish could present itself. I'm going to take Barboza to win this fight. I'll take him to win this fight by 3rd round knockout. Not a ton of confidence in the pick, but like I said, I think the bet and the best bets like that fight ends by knockout at plus money. So There you guys have it. Thank you all for watching. Be on the lookout for the full card breakdown and prediction video for UFC Vegas 92. Let me know down in the comments who you guys are liking. What spots are you liking? You guys liking a prop? Are you guys taking the dog shot on Barboza? Are you guys taking Lerone Murphy as the favorite? Let me know down in the comments. Like on your way out, subscribe, and best of luck for UFC Vegas 92. See you guys later.